Welcome to our fitness professional interviews. Today we have with us Brad McDowell. Brad, how are you doing?
I'm fabulous. Well, I'm trying to be the best I can be every day during these difficult times.
Oh, I love that. So, Brad, why don't you start by telling all of us who you are and what you do, a little bit of a backstory of yourself.
Sure. I'm a full-time psychology faculty member here at Madison College. I think I've been at the college maybe 17 years. So I teach intro psych online, and now am teaching psychology of men. And I have a new course I've developed in the last year plus here, a sport and performance psychology class. I'm teaching both of those classes in the online live format. So trying to figure out how to do that in the best possible way that I can and give our students the best possible experience. I do a number of other things across the college. I work at the Student Achievement Center as well. If you didn't know that exists, you guys can reach out to the Student Achievement Center and they'll hook you up with faculty through WebEx to support you in things you're working on. I also, it's not happening this year, but I teach a class for students who go on study abroad. And so I do a lot of different things, do hiring in my department, scheduling in my department, very active across the college. And since we're talking fitness and whatnot, I've been a lifelong athlete. I played college football, Division III, small college football, St. John's University of Minnesota. And most recently, though, in the last decade, I've done Ironman Wisconsin 3 times, and I ski every year the American Birkebeiner that's in Hayward, Wisconsin, cross country ski marathon.
Time out. 3 times?
3-time Ironman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of like in the soft metals, like tin maybe, not really iron, but
No, 3 times in Ironman, that's a whole nother atmosphere or something. I can't even explain that. That's crazy. How,
yeah,
how did you get into that?
so since I was a college athlete, I've always sought out new ways to be athletic and to be fit and to, mentally active, physically active. I used to be a rock climber. I traveled the world rock climbing many years ago. In fact, my wife and I had a honeymoon in 20 years ago. We spent a year living in Thailand, basically rock climbing on the beaches of Thailand. But after I had kids and settled down and started in this profession here, I needed to find something to be active as I was aging, and I watched Ironman go off in the past. Many of our athletes have volunteered down there when that was happening. You know how exciting it is to see the swimmers go, and I saw that one day, and I said I have to do that. So I'm not an endurance athlete at all. I don't have that in my body. I have the body of a football player, but I love the training. I actually love the regimented process of a year-long goal to get to something. I also think, as a sports psych person, one of the really important things in life is to take things on that scare you, like do things that seem like you can't do it, that you're afraid of. So I was scared to death of this thing. I didn't know if I could do it or not. So it was really just about me finding a new way to be healthy and fit. I don't win anything. I'm really slow, but I just really love being active.
Hey, finishing is an accomplishment. Though you said two things there that really stuck with me when you said, I got to figure out what that's about. So I went skydiving and bungee jumping in the same morning in New Zealand. And like, I don't like to stand on top of buildings because I'm scared of heights, but I had the exact same feeling you're describing of other people coming back with that adrenaline rush and just being like, oh man, I don't care if I'm scared of it. I have to know what that feeling is. And then the other thing is that you said, as I aged, I needed to find a way to stay active. I don't see Iron Man as an aging person's game. You're defying all laws of physical activity here.
Yeah, I think there's a certain amount of stupidity that still comes to play at signing up for that and then trying to do it. So I've done a lot of different things in my life, and every time I do something that's bigger and scarier, it makes me realize I'm more capable than thought I was. So every time we have ropes course, people who do ropes course work here, and when you go out there and the first thing you think, there's no way I can do that. And when you start with a small element and you work your way up and you do a bigger thing, the next thing you know, by the end of the day, you're jumping off the zip line and you never thought you would have done it. And you always had that capacity in you. And so, I climbed the Grand Teton from the parking lot to the top and back in 20 hours straight, 15 years ago or something like that. So I've done a lot of different things like that where I like to kind of push my mental boundary. It becomes a mental boundary at that point, whether or not you can just keep yourself going and override the fear that you have.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Well, you and I think, could talk about these types of things for a long time, but I want to try to get to some of these areas to give some more resources to our students that we're going to be pushing this out to. So, can you talk a little bit about the types of careers that students go into that really thrive in your field of study and the classes that you teach?
Sure. Well, I mean, I teach basically the kind of general ed course, like intro psych. So I have students from all fields across the entire college, actually. Predominantly, we see a lot of nursing students take intro psych and then developmental psych, but we see students that I see students that already have college degrees. I see students that are going into business and see psychology as an important realm. I see students in firefighting and EMT and paramedic programming. So with that intro psych course, that's just kind of a base level general ed course that everybody across the college generally takes, especially if they're moving on to 4-year degrees. Now, because I've developed this sport and performance psychology class in the last year, I'm seeing a really cool population in that class. I see a lot of athletes who take that class, but there are also people who are interested in physical therapy. I see people who are interested in becoming dietitians. And so they see this realm of working with human beings and having to come up with ways to develop programming and motivate and reinforce positive behaviors. So those are some of the programs that I see, but I see students across any possible program in my classes.
Awesome. That is so cool, and that's such a neat area to explore. Being a former coach, that's just such a unique area that I can't even wrap my head around, and it's so cool that you can share that information. So, speaking of the mental side of things, the mental strength has been something that the last 6 months I've really been focusing on. Can you give me a tip that you share with your students as far as mental strength is concerned?
Well, so dealing with the pandemic situation that we're in, yeah, this is challenging all of us, right? I mean, our environments have been flipped upside down. We're doing things differently. Some students actually are enjoying the change in the environment a little bit, meaning that maybe they have a little social anxiety and not having to go to class actually works out well. They can sit on the screen. But for many of us, we use the structure of our day to motivate us to get me out of bed on a Monday morning because I know I've got to get to class. I know I've got to get to this meeting or this appointment. And now when everything is just kind of blurred into, going nowhere and all on screen, we really have to work at this. We really actually are many people are realizing we have to work at taking care of ourselves right now. So I don't know about you guys, but when I'm on the screen for 6, 8 hours a day, I have a headache at the end of the day. I often feel like when I'm done with that day, I can't believe how exhausted I am. Even though I've just been literally sitting here grading and teaching class, I just want to leave here and go lay on the couch. And so I'm really I mean, what I try to encourage students is you've got to get out, you've got to move, you've got to get off the screen, you've got to force a break, you've got to go outside, you've got to go for a walk. You can't just leave here and then jump right on your phone and just keep doing that kind of that mental space thing with all of the screen time. So I'm finding that we have to structure ourselves. We have to have kind of details about our day. I've got it in my head right now today that I'm going to cut work at a certain time so that I can go get a workout in. Um, because I know that when I get that workout in, when I come back here, I'm clear headed. I take breaks during the day to make sure that I eat healthily. It's so easy to just grab junk kind of when you're not feeling good about your day because you're just doing nothing all day long. So make sure that we eat right is really critical. I really feel like adding structure is critical right now and making yourself get away from this and be active in some way, whether it's just going for a walk around my block and then coming back 15 minutes, walk around my block, come back. I'm more ready to do this.
Yeah, and adding structure, just shameless plug. So our virtual fitness center options, we do have group fitness classes. We do have videos that people can follow there. And one of the other options we have that I wanted to talk about with you next is the Headspace app, which is about mindfulness and meditation. And so that's free for all of our students to use and sign up for, and they can go to madisoncollegerecreation.com.
I
So
did not
can you
even
tell me
know
about a
that.
tool that you have that is helpful as far as mindfulness is concerned?
Is there another tool? No, I'm so glad that I'm learning that, Bill. I've been telling everybody about Headspace, um, because I think it's a great thing to use and it's a great thing to practice. So mindfulness and meditation is one of the key things that I work on in my life. I don't really always meditate per se. I did an experience in Kathmandu, Nepal, 20 years ago, where I did a meditation experience, 12 hours a day for 10 days. So I had my first real deep immersion into this. Um, but I use the breath all the time, all day long. I break away from situations. I give myself a 5-minute break. I just focus on my breath. I think starting with Headspace, if you have that as a tool, is absolutely critical, because I consider this a mental rep. A lot of us, and especially if we're thinking about being an athlete or trying to be active, we have to do these physical reps. We have to learn technical stuff. When we're students, we're reading our textbooks, but we also have to do these mental reps that give us a break from the stress of all of this. And so I call sitting down and breathing for 5 minutes with that app, using it. I mean, there's lots of different formats, right? You can have, music, you can have white noise, there are lots of different processes you can explore on that. So you can find what works for you. But what you need to realize is that we're so locked into this new way of being. There's nothing in my body or my brain that's prepared to sit here for 8 hours and do this. I'm not prepared to do this. And so if I don't break away from it, and if I don't actually do something like that Headspace app with a breath, that allows me to just shut my system down for a minute, that allows me to breathe, calm my central nervous system so that I can come back and be ready to work. I think, Bill, I don't have anything additional to add other than that. I think that's a great place to start.
That is awesome. So yeah, students, it's free for them to use, and I use it personally, and I use it to help me sleep. Do you have any types of tips or tricks for helping people calm their mind to get better sleep? For me, for example, if I'm working late at night, it's hard for me to turn my brain off because I'm turning all those gears and I'm working, and then to try to stop that so I can get the rest that I need to reset myself to be ready the next day. Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, and so in addition to, right, not even turning your mind off, right? Like this situation and time frame brings up a lot of fears and it brings up a lot of worries, and like I thought I was going to be able to do this thing and now I'm not, and now my class looks very different, and what's my grade going to look like, and like so it brings up that anxiety these times. And so sleep is a skill, and you should really approach sleep as if it is a skill, especially in challenging times. And what I mean by that is you really, I mean, if you understand that you're that kind of person that thinks at night, I raise my hand, that's me. It's hard to turn my brain off. And if you're that kind of person that is finding yourself being anxious in these time frames, and now remember, anxious can be kind of worrying, but it can also be depressive. Like I can't get anything done. So getting sleep and is really critical. That's a skill. So it means a routine. It means, to the best of your possible ability, going to bed kind of on a common time frame that your body learns to know this is when I start to shut down. It really does, and I know it's really challenging in the world we're in right now, but it really does mean getting off that screen so that I don't have this stimulation coming in and keeping my brain alert, right? So whether I know it sounds old school, but reading, right? Different from on the computer, but a literal book in my hand, something different, right? So it's routines to go to start shutting my body down. It's common times that I go to bed as much as I possibly can, because that sends a signal to my body. Now's the time to go to sleep. It's getting off the screen. And then there are a couple other things that I would add into this. When you're laying in bed, when I'm laying in bed, if I'm not like going to sleep, it does me no good if I'm there 30, 45 minutes or 60 minutes still trying to go to sleep. Like I've got to change my situation because I'm just locked in and now I can't seem to hit that space. So I do two things. If after 30 minutes of using the breath, using the app, trying to calm my brain, trying to focus. So when I teach Vipassana meditation, it's the sensation of the breath, because if I focus on the sensation of the breath, I can't be thinking at the same time. I put my attention on that sensation of the breath coming in and out of the body, and that will replace the thinking, hopefully. But if after 30 minutes I'm still not asleep, I pull my book out, under soft light, and I just try to read a little bit because that hopefully will shut me down a little bit. And then finally, the last thing that I do, if I'm not able to sleep after 30, 35, 45 minutes, I actually change location because I've got to change it up because I'm not going to lay there for an hour, hour and a half, not being able to fall asleep. So I change location to the couch. If I go to the couch and it's just actually kind of changing that routine allows me to settle in a different place. And then usually I fall right to sleep at that point.
That is awesome. And you just spoke to everything I do about changing location. It is something that I use. So I appreciate that. So if people want to learn more about some of these tricks or mindfulness, are there any books that you've read that are good resources?
Well, yeah, you asked that question about books. I mean, the two books that I've loved recently are there's a book called Altered Traits. Now, you said tips and tricks, and so these books aren't really books that give us tips and tricks, but what they do, Altered Traits is by Dr. Richard Davidson, and he's actually one of the world's foremost researchers on meditation and mindfulness. He's worked with the Dalai Lama for decades. He's right here at the UW, and so if you ever see his name, Richard Davidson is his name. He gives talks. Anyway, it's just really cool to see him because he's right here in Madison. So it's called Altered Traits, and he goes into the science of mindfulness and meditation and what we're learning. And what the title of his book means, Altered Traits, is that he's experienced these people that have used meditation and mindfulness to calm their, or actually literally change their traits of their body. They become these very calm, life infused people. And so through the process of practicing this, and remember, this is not something you do once, but this is something if you do daily, a little bit, weekly, definitely, you're repetitively working on this mindfulness and meditative approach over years. He said you can really change yourself into the person that you want to be: calm, focused, centered, relaxed, attentive, all the good words that we want to be. The other book, it's a little off the deep end, and it's not about the tips and the tricks. But I mentioned that I did a Vipassana meditation course in Kathmandu, Nepal, and the book is called The Mind Illuminated. And it's by John Yates, Dr. John Yates, The Mind Illuminated. And it actually, it's very dense. It's not an easy read. But the reason I love it is because it's the closest thing I've ever read that comes to explaining the meditation experience that I had in Kathmandu, Nepal. Seated 12 hours a day in 4-hour blocks, meditating and learning how to do that and learning how to single point focus on my breath, and enter this state of flow where kind of time becomes irrelevant. You're so locked in. You're just exactly where you want to be right here, right now. You're not thinking about it 30 seconds before you. You're not thinking about what might happen later today. This is the key to being a good student. This is the key to being a good athlete. This is the key to being a good parent, a good spouse. Like, how can I be present right here, right now, and not still be ruminating about something that happened behind me, or not be overthinking something that I got to do tomorrow, to be present, centered, focused. So those aren't absolutely user-friendly books, but they're, if you're really interested in diving deep into this, those are good books to take a look at.
Awesome. And it's so cool that he is in Madison. We
Yeah.
have so many resources here that we aren't even aware of right underneath our nose. So we're going to move into a little bit about get to know Brad McDowell a little bit. So a little bit more of the person behind what you're teaching and what you like to educate people on. So what is a podcast that you listen to regularly?
I listen to the Ezra Klein show on Vox Media. They do this thing called Everything Explained. And so whenever there's something going on in the world, they do these podcasts, the coronavirus explained, they go the politics explained, they go, so it's really informative and I like that.
Awesome. So what is a goal, if you're into goals like I am, what is a goal that you have for yourself for this school year?
The main goal that I have this school year is trying to be the best possible professor I can be in this new online live environment, learning how to create the best experience I can, knowing that students are out there on their screens. That's just my goal every week. I'm trying to figure out how to do that the best way I can.
So tell us, and we've talked about this a little bit, and you and I could go down a rabbit hole forever. We'll try to stay out of the rabbit hole, but your favorite place to visit?
Yeah. So real quick, Thailand is my favorite place. This is where my wife and I spent a year. traveling for our honeymoon. And then about 2 years ago, we took our kids back for 9 weeks. But my most favorite place right now is that I bought 5 acres of land just off the Berkey Trail in Hayward Cable. And so I go there every possible minute I can to mountain bike, to gravel ride on the trails, and in the winter to ski.
All right. So then what's your next travel plan?
My next travel plan is because the holidays are going to be looking different, no family events. We're avoiding my mom, she's older. My family, we're going to travel to Yellowstone. And for the week of Thanksgiving, we're going to be able to teach from online here and take classes from online. But they have the country's first cross country ski festival rendezvous. They get the earliest snow. So we're going to spend a week in Yellowstone over Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So the next part is going to be some rapid fire would you rather questions. All right.
Okay.
So we'll see what your deep seated roots are here.
I'm
So
nervous.
would you rather have to skip everywhere or run everywhere you go?
I would skip. Even though I've done Ironman, I'm not fast, and running continuously is challenging, so I'd skip.
All right. Would you rather sit with a resting lion for 10 minutes or run across a hungry alligator's back?
I would sit with I would sit with the lion.
You could meditate through that and get yourself through it.
Maybe.
All right. Would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals?
I think I'd want to talk to animals. As you can tell, I have too much to say often.
All right. Would you rather make a movie of your life before you were 21 or a movie of your life after the age of 21?
My life has way better after the life of 21 than before.
It wasn't if it was better, is would you rather make a movie though?
I'd make a movie of that. It's more exciting.
All right, all right. This one's gonna throw you, I think.
All
Would you
right.
rather sneeze cheese or have your tears be chocolate flavored?
Definitely tears be chocolate flavored.
Okay. All right. What would your superpower be and why?
My superpower would be love and compassion. My superpower would be the ability to, if love and compassion could solve a lot of the world problems, I would love to have an un what's the word I want? A reservoir that is forever filled with love and compassion, and I'd give that to everyone.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. The last thing, can you tell people where they can reach out to you if they want to get involved in your classes or if they want to reach out to you to something that you touched on today?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do right now would be to find my email through the Madison College website, the directories that they have, through psychology department, through arts and sciences, whichever direction you could go. So BD McDowell at madisoncollege.edu. And if you reach out to me through email right now, the next thing we would do is we'd schedule a time to meet on WebEx so we can actually get to know each other, and I can work to help you answer any questions you have.
Brad, thanks so much for your time and the information that you provided. And I really hope some students reach out to you with all of the knowledge and information that you have. And then I'm glad we were able to touch on the Headspace app and hopefully get some more students involved with that with us as well.
Absolutely. I love learning that. I didn't even know we got that. So thanks for sharing that with me, Bill.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.